Are you looking for the secrets to successful frugal living? In this video, I'm going to show you 10 hacks that will supercharge your frugal journey and give you greater peace of mind. Welcome to Frugal Over 50. I'm Amy, and I'm here to share with you tips and tools for frugal living, all personally tested by me. I'm so glad that you're here. If this is your very first time, welcome. We're a great community of frugal livers here, and I hope that you will subscribe, give this video a like, and click the notification bell so you'll get notified first of new videos. Now let's get right to our 10 hacks that will supercharge your frugal journey. First one is understand that money is finite. This is something that I don't think gets talked about enough, but especially for women over 50, it's something that we need to understand about our lives, both now and going forward. Money is finite. It's not an infinite resource. We may think of it as an infinite resource because we've been earning money, most of us, since our teens, but there will come an end to how much money we have, how much money we can have. And it's important to understand that we're dealing with a finite resource, just like any other finite resource in our lives, in order to have the proper perspective. Because if we treat it like it's just never ever going to run out, then that's how people end up in debt. That's how we end up spending too much. That's how we end up wondering, where did all our money go? Because we weren't treating it as a finite resource. If this is a new thought for you, I want to ask you to just pause the video for a minute and think, hang on, is money finite? And I'm not talking about the bits of cash that you hold in your wallet sometimes, or the little bits of plastic. I'm not talking about the physical item. I'm talking about what it represents. The ability to exchange currency for products and for services. It's finite. So treat it as finite. Treat it as a resource that you have to guard, that you have to take care of in order for it to take care of you. Hack number 2 might seem like a natural follow-up to hack number 1, and that is put a stop to your spending. Now, I'm not talking about entirely put a stop to your spending. I see lots of people, especially younger folks here on YouTube and elsewhere, talk about doing a no-spend month. And for most of us, if you're a woman over 50, that's not really a practical thing to do because there are expenses that have to be paid no matter what. So sometimes people will alter and say, I'm not going to spend on X, Y, or Z for this month or this 6-month period or this year. And that's fine. Go for it if you want to do that. But I'm not talking about just that. If you have certain categories of spending that have been troubling you and that you think I need to cut back on that, then absolutely put a stop to it for a certain period of time so that you can evaluate where you are. But what I'm talking about is putting a stop to the kind of spending that doesn't come out of planning, the kind of spending that doesn't come out of necessity, and the kind of spending that's just like, oh, I deserve it. The kind of spending that, you think you should feel good about, but you don't later. The kind of spending that advertisers want us to do. Put a stop to that kind of spending. It will really supercharge your journey, and you'll think, oh, I just gave up that $5 coffee. I just gave up that $10 art print at Target. No, you stopped spending on something that you didn't need to spend on. And that's important. And number 3 follows right from that, which is find contentment with what you have. This can be tricky. I think for many of us who have been in our homes for most of the time, for most of the last several months, most of us are looking around going, I am no longer content with what I have. I understand that. My teens and I keep talking about how we're tired of our clothes, we're tired of this, we're tired of that. That's not so much a lack of contentment with what we have, though. It's just a lack of contentment with the situation that's going on in the world, and I think we have to acknowledge that. I'm talking about something a little bit different. I'm talking about looking around and noting what we have that has provided us with food, with clothing, with shelter, with all of the things that are basic to our lives, and with the things that help us feel good, with the things that help us to achieve what we really want to in life. And be content with it. I'm not suggesting that we equate contentment with being stagnant and never wanting anything else and just kind of sitting in our own history. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just looking around and saying, oh yeah, I like you, Mr. Piano. Oh, look, that dining room table has done a really good job serving our family all these years. That TV is helping us stay off cable because we got a Roku stick for it. Things like that where you feel like the things around you are things that you have because they enrich your life and they help keep you alive. Be content with what you have. Number 4 is something that often needs reevaluated when we get into our 50s and older, and that is find the right kind of transportation for your needs. If you are still driving that vehicle that you raised your kids with, you probably don't need it. It probably gets really bad gas mileage. If your kids have been out of the house for a while, you may have already changed vehicles, but it may be time to reevaluate again. Think about what you need in terms of a vehicle. If you're one of those folks who actually lives in a part of the country where you use public transportation instead of driving, I'm jealous, first of all. And also, think about where you want to go and how you want to get there and what kind of passes you need and how often you need to do the things that you need to do. But for most of us who live in the United States, we're going to be looking at what kind of car we need. And mostly, it's going to be a used car that runs really well, that has good gas mileage, that has good consumer reports records, all of those sort of basic boring things. We don't need the latest bells and whistles. We need something that's solid and reliable that we can count on to get us where we need to go. So make sure that you have the right size vehicle, the right kind of vehicle for your life. And don't feel like you have to be tied to something brand new if you're not a car fixer kind of gal. Get a good used car that's got a guarantee if that makes you feel more secure. Do you see what I mean? There are ways that even those of us who are not car fixers can feel like we're not tied to the latest thing just so that we can feel safe in our cars. And I would encourage you to seek those out. Have a good vehicle, a safe vehicle, but have one that's the right size and the right expense level for your budget. Number 5 is cook. If you're a woman over 50, you may have spent most of your life cooking for other people, and maybe you're cooking for just yourself or just yourself and a partner now, or maybe you're cooking for grandkids, maybe you're cooking for extended family members. If you're one of those people who has a history of not cooking, I bet you've been cooking for the last few months and you're going, really? She's telling me to cook? I never leave the kitchen. Well, if you're a person who cooks already and has been cooking for a long time or even the last few months, I want to say congratulations to you because it is one of my top 10 frugal hacks for keeping you on the frugal journey. Even if you spent more money over the last several months on food and on groceries, I bet your overall expenditure, when you count the gas to get there and back, when you count the impulse purchases that you might have done, when you count the random eating out at places you knew you didn't need to go eat out at, all those costs, I bet your overall costs for getting, obtaining, and consuming your food have gone down because you cooked. And I would like to encourage you to keep going, keep cooking, you can do it. Now, whether you like cooking or not, I hope that you like this video and I hope that you'll give it a like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you'll get notified first of new videos. And go down in the comments and tell me, do you like to cook? Were you a little bit grumpy when I said that, or were you like, yay, I'm a champ, I can cook anytime? By the way, if you are hearing a motorcycle outside, we have a motorcycle aficionado in our neighborhood who loves to spend quarantine time going around motorcycling. So you're getting to hear the sounds of my neighborhood. Welcome, I'm so glad you're here. Now let's go on and talk about tip number 6. Tip number 6 relates to something I talked about in last week's video about decluttering. In last week's video, I asked you to declutter. And in this week's video, I'm asking you to be focused and flexible about your decluttering. What that means is, when you go through your house and declutter, you choose items that you are going to keep based on whether you're going to use them or whether they bring beauty to your home. And be honest, and then be a little more honest, and then be a little more honest than that. And when you get rid of things, don't feel like, oh gosh, I'm gonna go have a sale, I'm gonna put these up on eBay, I'm gonna put them on Facebook Marketplace, I'm gonna sell them. If you're in a part of the country or the world that's opened up, don't say, I'm gonna put them in a garage sale. I'm gonna ask you not to do that. I want you to just take care of getting your stuff out of your house and do it in the most expeditious way possible. If you can recycle things, take them to be recycled. If you can donate things, take them to be donated. If you need to throw things out, you know what? Throw things out. It's gonna be trash, whether it's in your house or whether it's in the local municipal dump. So get rid of the trash. They actually have better ways to take care of it over at the dump than you have at your house. So be focused, be flexible, and get it gone. Number 7, let's say in the process of your decluttering, you found something and you're like, I need to keep this, I need to use this, But the reason I haven't been using it is because it needs to be fixed. Can you fix it? That's tip number 7. Can you fix it? Get it fixed. Some of you out there are champion DIYers and you've done everything from lay flooring to build houses from the foundations up. Some of us are not so much with the DIY, but that's one of the things that YouTube is for. And as long as it's not, something like electrical or plumbing, you can probably figure out how to do it. Now, you also can probably figure out how to find somebody to help you do it if, like me, you feel very unconfident about many fix-it jobs in your house. You can find somebody to do it, but always look and see, can I do it? Can I learn to do it? And if not, where can I get the help? But it's usually a better idea to fix something. I know. Those of us who have lived since the 1960s and before, we know that products that we bring into our houses are often built for obsolescence. And they have it just planned in that it's going to be cheaper to buy the new version when this one breaks than to fix it. But again, that's the miracle of YouTube. There are many things that you can fix, that you can keep going. And I don't want to encourage you to do this by way of, keeping more clutter. Only keep it if you're actually going to fix it. But I bet there are more things that you can fix than you thought you could fix. And you can take pieces off of things to fix other things. For instance, I have a friend who likes to, when she gets rid of old shirts, take off the buttons. The shirts become rags, the buttons go into the button box, and then when some other article of clothing loses a button, it's not assigned to go to the store and buy another cheap article of clothing. No. It's assigned to go to the button box and pick out a beautiful new button, perhaps an even better button than was originally on. And you sew it on and off you go with a newly accessorized outfit and some new rags. Number 8 is a biggie for women, and a biggie for women over 50. Consider your own needs. And I'm talking about your physical needs, the basic food, clothing, and shelter, and all the things that go into bringing food, clothing, and shelter into your life. And also consider your need for things like peace and quiet, for self-fulfillment, for entertainment, for the goals that you have for your future. Plan for your own needs. And this is tricky because we were trained to take care of other people. And many of us have spent most of our lives taking care of young people and bringing them up and taking care of family members, taking care of elderly family members. And for many of us, this is unpaid work. And for many of us, it brings us joy and we don't want to give that up. But how many of us get to our 50s and we're just a little bit tired? Consider your own needs. This is the time of life to do that. Think about, what do I need right now to make me feel good? And it's probably not a thing. It may be an experience. It may be just, being able to be quiet and peaceful. It may be being able to get out in nature. What do I need for the future? What are your plans for retirement? And what are you doing to prep for that? I know this doesn't seem like the time in human history to be thinking that far ahead, but this won't last forever. And you will get to the place where you're retiring. In fact, some of you already are. What are you looking forward to? What are your plans? You don't have to carry the whole world on your shoulders. I know, we think we do, but we really don't. So consider your own needs and take care of them in the best way that you know how. You deserve it. Now, I'm not talking here about a little Dove bar or a little impulse buy. No, I'm talking about exactly the opposite of that. I'm talking about rejecting what the advertisers want to trivialize and take away from us through small purchases. No. Don't give yourself and your money to anybody who doesn't deserve it, including advertisers, including chocolate makers. Sorry, I love chocolate too. Take care of your own needs. Number 9 and number 10, our last two, really go together. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. Number 9 is look at your history with money and with frugality. And number 10 is look at your goals with money and frugality. And I think this is especially important as we get to our middle years and beyond. We have a long history of dealing with money. And many of us think of ourselves as dealing poorly with money. And some of us think, oh yeah, I've done great so far, but I'm in a new phase. We're all in a new phase once we get to our 50s, and this is uncharted territory. What am I going to do? So we need to look back at our history and think, where do I have positive associations with money? Where do I have negative associations with money? What do I think about frugal living based on my history? Do I associate it with negative experiences or positive experiences? Sit down and think about this and maybe make a few notes and be honest with yourself about what is your history with money, with frugal living, with taking care of yourself, with all of the things that I've mentioned that are your 10 frugal hacks. Well, 8 so far, and then 9 is looking at your history, and then 10, look at your goals. What are you planning for? What is the point of your frugal journey? You have goals right now, of course, but I'm talking about long-term goals. What do you want for your own life going forward? How do you want your life to play out financially? And what are you doing now that will help you in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, in 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 years? What is the legacy that you want to leave to those you leave behind? And it could be in the form of cash money, in the form of an inheritance. Yes, that could be very much a goal that you're thinking of even in your 50s, something that you leave to the people who come after you. But there's a legacy that's even more powerful that you want to leave, and that, of course, is the legacy of taking joy in frugal living and taking joy and peace in finding your frugal path. Now, I have told you today that I want to help you supercharge your journey, your frugal journey, so that you can go vroom and go forward. And that's what number 10 is. It's taking us forward. I think it is so important in this day and age when we are so surrounded by really troubling news and by a global pandemic that we look forward. Most of us here on this planet are not the people who are making the vaccine. Most of us are not the people who are developing treatments. Most of us are getting through our days the best we can and taking care of ourselves and each other the best we can. And so, as we look ahead, we have to look ahead to a future that will be brighter if we can contribute to making it brighter. And one of the ways we can do that is by finding joy in frugal living. I would love to encourage you to tell me down below in the comments, what is one thing about frugal living that brings you joy? And tell me what is one of your goals for frugal living. I am so glad that you're here, wherever you are on your journey, whether you've slowed down, stopped, jumped off the path, or whether you're truly feeling supercharged on your pathway. I want you to know you are not alone, and that I am proud of you, and that I look forward already to seeing you again in the next video. Talk to you soon. Bye.